The felon isn't looking very good in the UK. And how's this whole thing being perceived? And the humiliation definitely happened. Let's look into all of that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First up, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, promoting the channel on your own social media platforms. That's all greatly, greatly appreciated. And watching the videos all the way to the end, that really helps the YouTube algorithm send the videos to more people. So to that, a huge, huge thank you. I am starting up the fall 2025 Patreon tarot class. The link will be in the description of this video. Uh, if you sign up before September 20th, you will get $15 off of your first month. The class will last about 4 months. So if you have any questions about the class, let me know. All the classes are recorded on Zoom, and then once a month, starting in November, there'll be a live Zoom Q&A where I'll answer your questions, and then twice a month I'll answer, topics that are on your mind and make a video of it. And you'll get the archives to all of those members' videos. There's, I think, four of them now, and some very, very good questions from the first group of people that took the class. So thanks to them as well. Huge thank you. If you have any questions about that whatsoever, you can always email me, scryingoutloud3@gmail.com. YouTube comments are not the greatest place to put questions because I don't know that they always come through, to be honest with you. Um, there's definitely sometimes I've posted comments that I know later when I went to look, it looked like I didn't reply to people. So um, just be careful with that. So if you really have a question, just send me an email. It's perfectly fine. I'm happy to receive emails. So scryingoutloud3@gmail.com. And also we have the Soul YouTube membership where you can just hit the join button on the channel homepage. If you're interested in that, we do daily energy readings. A lot of them have been pretty spot on, I think, not to brag on myself too much, but okay. So back to the never-ending drama of the felon. He looked terrible in at the UK. He stumbled through a speech, sounded like an idiot in front of King Charles. There's something weird with his hand still. Um, uh, Huge protests, although I don't know that he got to see all of those. Pictures of him and Jeffrey Epstein were projected onto the castle, which was hilarious. This is kind of the humiliation that I was seeing. I'm not sure if he knows about it yet, but he'll know about it eventually. So the questions I want to ask are, will the Prime Minister of the UK take a hit for this state visit? Uh, the huge protests. Will there be blowback from the felon to the UK because of the humiliation involving Epstein? And there's going to be more humiliation, by the way. Uh, how is this whole thing perceived by the people of the US and the UK? Uh, what's up with this hand? I mean, maybe it's an IV thing. I don't know. It almost looks like rotting flesh. It's very weird. I think we need to take another look at that. And why did he look so bad? Was he just tired or is there more going on? So those are the questions we'll get to. Um, yeah, so let's start with will Keir Starmer popularity fall even more because of this visit? He's not doing very well with the public as it is. Um, I think this was a really bad look for the US and the UK both. I think it's particularly for Republicans and MAGA, this idea of these lavish events being paid for by the taxpayers when, a lot of us can't really afford a bag of onions, or are choosing to buy things differently, at least. So, how's this going to affect the Prime Minister of the UK? I still just had the feeling that he's gonna be out. Like, um, I don't know if the party membership vote him out or if he's stupid enough to call an election. Both seem possible. Um, but just doesn't feel like he's there for long. We do get stability for right now. So I think he's probably good till the end of the year at least. But people are seeing this in a bad way. This Emperor card, it's about abuse of power. Now I don't know how much say he really had in the state visit, if he felt pressured into having to do it. I'm sure there was pressure on all sorts of sides coming at him, but I don't think it really went over well with the people. Yeah, it's kind of like he just had to make the choices. There was no good choice here. Either do the state visit or don't. And neither one of them would have worked well for different groups of people for different reasons. Not to mention all the trade and other negotiations that might fall apart. Not that you can negotiate with the felon. Uh, we do get the Ace of Swords in the environment around. I think the people of the UK were really paying attention to this. At the center of the reading, we get the Five of Swords. This is my card for dementia. Of course, we're reading about the UK Prime Minister. He doesn't have dementia. Uh, but this is a giant headache for him. This is going to be something that is just never going to be let go of. Standing in front of luxury while people can't afford groceries, it's not a good look. So, giant headache. Uh, I know he's juggling a lot. I think that's true. I think there's some people that are wanting to take him down inside his party, and I think that's exactly what does happen in the future. This did send a message about money. It just was the wrong one. It was the message about the haves and the have-nots. And I don't think we needed a reminder of that. And the Ten of Swords, I think this ultimately kind of is the start of his downfall. I mean, I think his downfall probably already started, but uh, I just don't see him surviving for much longer. I think either the party kicks him out or um, somehow he's talked into having another election to prove that he's not as weak as he is, but he's quite weak. And we get the Queen of Swords. I'm not sure he's the one driving the boat anymore, to be honest with you. I think his political future's in other people's hands. I don't think they're in his hands. So currently, I think it's stable, but this whole event was quite the headache and will continue to be. I think his future lies with others. I think there was a message sent forward about money. It wasn't a good one, and that's going to cause him lots of headaches as you know, it's just another. I don't think I'd go as far as to say it's a stain on the Royals, but it's not a good look for them either. Um, but in reality, he probably didn't really have a good choice here. Um, it will be seen as an abuse of power. Uh, Ultimately, I think we learned the truth about exactly how involved he was and what his position exactly was, probably from somebody inside of his own party wanting to take him down. And I think they're successful at doing so with the Ten of Swords. So I do think that there will be a change in leadership in the UK, definitely within 12 months, it feels like. I mean, he has some support, but the way he's handling overseas things is bad, but the way he's handling things domestically, I think, is worse. So I don't think this is going to work out well for him. Okay, so I think the protests and the are just proof that this is weakening his political uh, position. Um, okay, so we just had the tower car fall out as I was reading the word, will the felon blame the UK for this humiliation? It's not a good sign there. Um, let's see. Is there going to be some sort of lashing out? Like, you know, I just don't know. I mean, he's such a petulant child. I mean, now he's suing the New York Times for telling the truth. It's like it'd be laughable if it wasn't so sad, right? I mean, it's quite sad. Um, but it all's gonna work out. I have pretty good feelings about that. It just doesn't necessarily feel that way. Goes day to day, right? We have good days, we have bad days. Okay, will he lash out at someone over this Epstein pictures being shown all over the UK, flashed up on the castle walls? Um, the birthday card as well was flashed up. I saw that. We get the tower. It's definitely not good. Now the tower is a no card, but in this situation, we're talking about something that is pretty destructive. So that's why I'm going to say it's a yes card. But we all read tarot our own way here. Um, I think I think there are people in the UK that are worried about this. Um, in particular, the UK government. Uh, we get the Queen of Pentacles stability messages coming forward. It might be just as simple as a tweet or a truth or whatever you call these things that he sends out, um, blasting the UK. But the truth is, he doesn't, really like the man in the mirror because he knows it's the truth, right? He knows what's being shown as the truth. For entertainment purposes only, I could be right, I could be wrong. And certainly people are innocent until proven guilty. And I'm not suggesting anything that I haven't suggested before. I just think that this is really weighing on him. Like it really is. We get the Wheel of Fortune. This is a pretty precarious situation because one, you have a person with cognitive decline. Two, you have a person who's overly sensitive about everything. We could all speculate about why. Uh, and three, there's a lot at stake with relationships between the US and the UK. There just is. So this could turn out to be quite the disaster. And I think that's why there's anxiety on the UK side of things. Russia, expect them to pounce on this. I don't know if we'll know it's Russia, but if these things start to appear all over Twitter and all over TikTok and all over, YouTube, even to some extent, that very well might be a Russian play to disrupt everything. Um, I do think there's some gentle diplomacy being worked on with him, but how can diplomacy work with a crazy person? I don't know that it can, but that's what they're trying. And ultimately things will move forward. So I don't, but a little bit erratic. I do think this is a strain on the relationship. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be because it had nothing to do with the country of the United States and nothing to do with the UK. It had to do with some people inside the UK poking fun at the one person who occupies the White House that absolutely does not have thick skin, especially on his hand. Um, he knows what they're saying is the truth. I think that's why it bothers him so much. And expect some erratic emotions, erratic movement. But at the end of the day, I think Russia tries to pounce on this as well. This just makes him more crazy. But I don't think anything really bad happens here. I don't think we talk about trade relations stopping or anything like that. I think mostly it's just words shot back and forth on the Truth Social. There's definitely people inside the UK government that are quite nervous. They already are having a tough time with their economy. Everything seems quite precarious, and they're currently trying to stroke his ego, so to speak, to keep everything in check. So I do think there's some concern here. They thought they had guardrails in place so that this wouldn't happen, but in fact it did. The spy in the camp, which I think it turned out to be four people that were responsible for this somewhat hilarious and harmless stunt. Um, other than possible, you know, national ties, it's harmless. Okay, so how's this whole event going to be perceived? I kept hearing when I was thinking about this earlier this evening, and I am recording this, which is fairly late for me and the day, but I didn't have a chance to do a video early this morning. I did what I was thinking about. I kept hearing, here's, King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla and the felon and Melania with a terrible hat and the Prime Minister of the UK and his wife, and they're standing in the palace with all this ornate stuff and expensive stuff. And, you know, what's that say when somebody's trying to figure out how to, make their last $20 stretch to end the month? Uh, I don't know. I can't imagine that it's a good look. Does it uh, look good to me? My immediate thought was about groceries. I don't know why. Maybe that's because it's the one thing we all need. So, um, you know, but the humiliation that was something we predicted a while back. Rising grocery prices is something we also predicted too. So, um, how's this going to be perceived? Yeah, I just keep seeing the Four of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles and the water from this deck is interesting because it's a guy holding like a bag of pentacles, which reminds me of a bag of groceries. The Ten of Wands also has this imagery of like pulling a bag of groceries up some stairs. Uh, so we get the Two of Swords, blind choices. Yeah, I don't think this was a good one. They made their choice, and we know we have to make choices in our lives between certain things, some of us. We get the Empress. I do think Russia exploits this. Just watch out for that. That I'll point it out if I see it, but they're really subtle things. Whether it's driving people to believing some conspiracy theory or it's driving people to uh, just relive the same information over and over again. They're very good at what they do, which is not good for the world. The Two of Wands, this is a pretty big crossroads. I do think this is a defining moment. I think, when the felon's long gone, uh, we'll look at this and we'll think, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Greed and completely out of touch and an idiot. And I think that pretty sums it up for me, not to mention violating human rights and yada, yada, yada. It's too painful to list them all. We get the Emperor, the abuse of power. Uh, you know, Here's the Five of Pentacles that I was seeing. This is poverty, loss at the center of the reading. That's exactly, what it feels like is that people are thinking, what the hell? It's like here these people are fine dining and in these, expensive tuxedos, and there's all this ornate furniture and this show that probably cost millions of dollars, and people can't really, people are worried about groceries. It's not a good look, that's for sure. I do think this is the downfall. I think the monarchy actually takes a little bit of a hit here too. Um, Certainly the UK Prime Minister takes a hit, and the felon, well, he's just going to continue to take a hit. Like he's just falling in the polls. There is no recovering for him. Yeah, that's just not going to happen. So now, don't get me wrong, some stupid newspapers that don't understand any statistics will tell you, oh, is the polling have surged with some certain group, and it's like 42% now instead of 40, which actually means nothing if you know any statistics. The Ten of Cups, families, reunions, celebrations on people's minds. This makes a lot of sense. And yeah, we get the Six of Pentacles, giving and receiving of money, buying things and the environment around. And the Tower, this is not good for anybody. This looks good for nobody. Nobody wins here, everybody loses, is what it feels like to me. So the choices were made. People see themselves even poorer than they probably are in reality. And it paints a picture of how some people get to live versus the average person like you and I. And I don't think that's a good picture. Yeah. The Ten of Cups people are thinking about their families and how they can't afford things, and that's what makes this a defining crossroads. Expect Russia to pounce on this. I think they will. I think there'll be a lot of social media manipulation on this front. This will be seen as an abuse of power. Um, it reminds people that we don't all have the same amount of money to spend. And it really is a downfall. It's a self-sabotage for everybody, for King Charles, for um, the felon, for the Prime Minister of the UK, for the UK government in general, for the US government in general, for the monarchy in general, for oligarchs in general. It's a lose for everybody. It's just really bad timing and bad optics. Underneath, we have the Ten of Pentacles, which is about inheritance and wealth. People are thinking about, what am I going to leave my kids? What can I leave my kids? You know, messages about money, the Page of Pentacles, and the Hierophant, our higher selves, the church, the courts, the Pope. I wouldn't be surprised if Pope Leo brings it up. Um, I think he very much shares the Pope Francis's vision of helping the poor, and this was kind of a slap in the face to that in a way. Now, normally we probably wouldn't think that much about it, but given, just who was there and um, the fact that things are very expensive right now, especially the things we need, I think it makes perfect sense that there's backlash here. Okay. So what is up with his hand? I for a long time I thought this is an IV and with bad makeup. Then it kind of looks like it's burnt, and then it's I mean it's a different tone of skin. It's oh, I think he has a multitude of health problems, by the way. I'm not saying everything I have seen is correct. nor am I saying things that I don't see aren't correct. It's just there's so much going on. The devil's underneath here. It's about toxicity. What kind of came to my mind is I had a friend years ago, who had a rare form of blood cancer, and the chemotherapy that he went through caused like blisters on his skin. It kind of reminds me what that looked like. Uh, that was a horrible experience for sure. So what's up with his hand? I do still see the four of swords. The four, of course, in Roman numerals is IV. I do think that probably is the right thing. The Knight of Swords, whatever it is, it's meant to get medicine in him quickly. I think that's an IV. I don't see what else it could be. We do get Temperance here as well, which is number 14, which is 10 and then IV. We get circles of support. It's definitely something that's caused from some sort of medicine here. Here's the four swords I was seeing in the water. I mean, he's ill. He's just very, very ill. We get the Ace of Pentacles. I do wonder if there wasn't a new treatment on the way over in the plane to boost him up, although he still looked absolutely horrible. The Five of Swords being wounded in battle, and the King of Wands, um, which he is no longer. And forward movement, the Six of Swords, and the Two of Pentacles. I do think this got aggravated on his way over. I do think there was some sort of treatment that was done under the guise of being in a plane and uh, segregated. So I think this was done to make him feel like he could have more energy. I think it was recently done. Now it could have been before in the White House before he got on the plane. It could have been on the plane. Um, but it was done for the overseas trip, which made his hand look worse. He still thinks of himself as the King of Wands, the cosmopolitan type of guy, Of course, we all know the truth. Um, and this is done at the direction of his doctors, the Three of Pentacles. Pentacles here standing for health. In the environment around, we get Temperance. This makes me think that this is done to moderate his temperament. He's quite ill. He's very wounded. And things are moving forward. And this is really kind of unique in this spread. We have Four of Swords, Five of Swords, Six of Swords. We're on the move. And it's not him getting better. We're just on the move. So curious what's underneath here. Yeah, him walking away, the Eight of Cups, uh, and firing messages. So yeah, this hand thing is a symptom. I do think it is from an IV, which means they probably can't use other places, otherwise they would. So his veins probably aren't terribly great. Or it makes it easier to hide maybe when they're on the plane if you have it on your hand, and I don't know. There's something for that reason why it's on his hand. Not a doctor, but trying to think. I had an IV once in my hand, but I can't remember what it was for. Nothing serious. I've never had anything seriously wrong with me, but maybe it's for used to run years ago. I think maybe it was just for dehydration one time. Thinking about it. Why does he look so bad? Why is he looking so bad? He's looking so bad. I mean, just his speech, which has never been good for a while, but I don't, even the white tuxedo shirt made his skin look odd. Uh, and he wears so much makeup that you would think would be tough against white to look odd, but it looked odd. Okay. Why is he looking so bad? Well, but you get the Page's swords. Partly, I think this is self-sabotage. I do think he's going against medical advice. I've said that before. I do think there's some medicines that he's supposed to be taking that he's not because of vanity reasons, such as the way it makes his hands look. But his hands still look bad, and we get the magician, everything's kind of on the table here. Take your pick on why he looks bad. His heart, his kidneys, his lungs, his liver, his brain. Probably any one of those is true, or all of them are true. So it's kind of, I think, a take your pick type of thing. A new beginning is coming, or maybe this is the new beginning. This is the new normal of him looking terrible. There's a lot of volatility around his health. The moon card. Yeah, the Five of Swords at the center of the reading, being wounded in battle. It's sometimes considered a minor arcana death representation as well. Uh, the King of Cups, stress, and this is my card for the Democrats. That's why I think it's stress is part of the reason why he looks bad. Um, and the Queen of Pentacles here, he's no longer being nurtured, so to speak. We'll see when we pull the cards here why that is. Um, bombshells and surprises. The truth is, we probably don't have exactly what's wrong with him, or we don't have it exactly right, but we have it pretty close. And then the Hanged Man, it's just a matter of time. It really is just a matter of time. It feels like it's taking forever, but I think he is self-sabotaging. He's quite wounded, and it really is just a matter of time before everything catches up with him and he goes away. I think his ability to nurture himself is over, and this is just the new reality. He doesn't get any better. He just gets worse. There is no getting better. Take your pick on what's wrong with him. It's probably true. There's so much wrong with him that it's hard not to guess something correct. His health is quite volatile. It's worse when there's stress, but we're all going to be surprised at the end. And I still think the same thing. I think the end is fast. Boom, dead. No, I don't think that. Will there be conspiracy theories? Somebody asked me about that they hope that that's not what happened because there'd be conspiracy theories. There's going to be conspiracy theories no matter how he goes. Doesn't matter. He could literally be on camera slowly dying in a hospital bed, and there would be conspiracy theories on how he was poisoned. So I don't think we need to concern ourselves with that just yet. Um, the Two of Swords, there just isn't any good choice to what to do with them. This is going to be the consistent state that he's in with the Queen of Swords. And then we get Temperance, which of course is the card after death. So uh, it's all going to come to an end soon enough. It really is. And uh, we're going to get the truth eventually. It might take a couple elections, but we'll get there eventually. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.